In this video, I get to see the flip side of the airline that I've come to know and love. A devastating flight experience with a dated aircraft, toilets out of order, tray tables almost falling apart and infrequent in-flight cleaning makes me wonder what happened to my beloved Malaysia Airlines. So come on board with me and let's try to piece together what's going on at MH. Hello everyone and welcome to the satellite terminal of KLIA. We've just stepped off a 737 from Colombo and we're connecting through to the satellite terminal on Malaysia Airlines MH1292 Melbourne. At the time this video was being filmed, Malaysia Airlines connected Kuala Lumpur and Melbourne daily with an Airbus A330-300 service. Having stepped off the red eye, I was hungry and desperately in need of a shower, so off we go to the Summer Express lounge with our MX Priority Pass in hand. This is the only lounge with a shower facility available for MX Priority Pass holders at Kuala Lumpur. This lounge has an extravagant breakfast setup, probably the best I've seen this year with Malaysian delicacies like nasi lemak. I was a little bit sleep deprived from having been filming and reporting on my red-eye flight a few hours ago, so I kinda just went to a corner and had some quiet time. Now the lounge itself is set up in a convenient seating layout, ideal for both families and individual travelers, with charging ports frequently available for your convenience. After some much needed rest, it was finally time for me to head to the boarding gate and vlog my last international flight for 2023. Now, one thing you've got to be really mindful of when traveling out of Kuala Lumpur to Australia is make sure that you plan ahead of time to navigate your way through the lengthy security lines at the boarding gate. The aircraft being deployed to Melbourne this morning is 9 Mike Tango Kilo, a 10.8-year-old Airbus A330-300. It's got 27 business class seats, 16 for economy plus and 247 for standard economy. Now, this aircraft in particular has a pretty interesting history. In 2018, it ran into some trouble at Brisbane when it departed for Kuala Lumpur with its covers on the airspeed sensors not having been removed. The plane eventually did some troubleshooting and landed back at Brisbane.
Hello there, welcome aboard. Get these three keys.
Now, the seats in economy class are laid out in a 242 configuration. Every seat in economy class comes furnished with a pillow and a blanket. 28A this morning is an emergency exit row seat with ample legroom for the flight back home. One good thing about these seats is they've got an adjustable headrest.
Very warm welcome aboard our flight MH128 from the Kuala Lumpur International Airport here in Sepang. The 7 from the Kuala Lumpur International here in Sepang to Melbourne International. The embarkation procedures are currently ongoing and we might be slightly behind our schedule due to the late arrival of this aircraft, and some congestion can be expected on the Kuala Lumpur International Airport for our departure. The flight time is 7 hours and 12 minutes, and the flight route and any pertinent information that you may require will be readily available via the Inflight entertainment channel, and you may peruse them from the comforts of your seat. In the cockpit we have Captain Al-Maklabi who will be assisting me, and in the cabin you have everyone and the rest of the crew who will be looking after your needs, comfort as well as your safety. Please do adhere to any safety instructions that might be issued by the crew from time to time as they're there once again for your safety. Weather routes expected to be fairly clear for most of the way, little cloudy on the initial climb out, and occasional turbulence, slight to moderate turbulence can be expected in cruise, so as such do have that seatbelt fastened when you're seated. Fair weather conditions expected on arrival in Melbourne. I'll be once again back with you with the latest we expected for arrival. Meanwhile, please do not hesitate to call the crew for any of the requirements for the flight. Thank you.
Now, as soon as we got airborne, the crew sprung into action, getting started with the service. To drink, they came around and offered us some apple juice, orange juice, or water. Then I thought it might be time to explore some of the seat features on board our aircraft. Now, the in-flight entertainment system is the same piece of equipment we've seen on all our MH flights, barely functional. The headphones didn't really work one bit. I'm not sure if this was an issue with the audio jack or just a general issue that arises by the usage of these plastic things. Overall, very poor quality, but I wasn't planning on watching anything anyway. Hello everyone from the lavatory of MH129 from Kuala Lumpur to Melbourne. We've been airborne for about 10 minutes and the bathroom, I must say, is in a pretty revolting state. The floor is very sticky, feels more like the nightclub in my town rather than an airplane lavatory. But you've got a coat hooked up there, an ashtray down there, and a functional sink. Everything else is fine, yeah, it's just the actual cleanliness of the bathroom that I'm not too thrilled about, but everything else in this lavatory is fine. But just to give you an idea of how sticky it is. Now, my next issue with this flight was the fact that my life was held together better than this tray table, and it clearly hadn't been wiped down at all. And what bothered me the most was that Malaysia Airlines ran an entire campaign bragging about how clean their planes are and how they clean it all the time, and this flight just wasn't giving that energy. Moving on to the actual food, Malaysia Airlines lets you pre-select your meals online even if you're flying economy, which is pretty cool. So I was able to pre-order my nasi lemak, which is available on all outbound flights from Kuala Lumpur on selected routes. And this meal was actually a pretty good meal. I would actually say it was the highlight of this flight for me. Now, Malaysia Airlines, like most other airlines, tends to serve passengers who've ordered their special meals first, and during that time, the crew came and offered the Hindu vegetarian meal to a passenger, and he couldn't take it at the time because he was feeding his kid. Then when they came around like half an hour later with all the other meals, he said, "Hey, is it possible for me to have my meal now?" And she just snapped at him saying, "I don't have it now, you're too late." I mean, maybe that could have been true, but perhaps there was a better way you could have said that. And this staff member in particular, I was actually kind of scared of her. She didn't say anything or do anything that made me jump out of my skin, but it just kind of was the way she was interacting with people that made me just think that I'm better off just asking someone else. Alright everyone, so just about halfway through the flight now. I must say that today's flight has been comfortable. The food was excellent. I had the nasi lemak, which comes with shrimp, and that was simply perfect. They also did several drink rounds to make sure that the passengers were hydrated, which is always appreciated. We've got a full flight load, so it certainly shows it's quite taxing for the crew. And speaking of the crew, they're not necessarily, in terms of Malaysia Airlines flights, they're not the friendliest that I've come across. That's not to say that they're unfriendly, it's just that I've had attendants that are way more friendlier on Malaysia Airlines, but these guys are still working very hard and trying to keep a smile on their face despite the full load, which is always appreciated. The aircraft is definitely showing its age. I think the bathroom maintenance is something that they really have to work on. In fact, one of the toilets is out of order because they just simply couldn't keep it clean enough. This one that I'm in currently is in a marginally better state. Not super clean, but alright, I guess. Another thing that shocked me was that, you know, when they give you those pre-landing cards, some passengers need pens to fill them out because they didn't bring pens of their own, so they asked the cabin crew if they could have some pens, and the crew gave them out, but then collected those very same pens before landing. I mean, what? We pay these airlines thousands of dollars, can't you just give us a pen? So it was pretty weird to me to see the cabin crew hand out pens to passengers and then take note of their seat number so that they could come and collect it before landing. And I don't want to talk too badly of the service because, honestly, with the exception of a few staff members, the majority of them were really nice and friendly and helped in whatever way they could. I actually got chatting to a couple of them in the galley, and they seemed like really great people to fly with. And they told me that the A350 was actually being deployed on this exact same sector very, very soon, and that I missed it out by a few days, which, I mean, sucks for me, but oh well. Now, full disclosure, by this point I'd been traveling for about 18 hours, so I fell asleep at some point here, but was awoken by a staff member saying, "Hello, do you want pizza?" And my mum didn't ever raise me to say no to pizza, so of course I said yes. And this pizza was actually part of their second refreshment service, which is usually served on these flights prior to landing in Melbourne, and it's usually served alongside a drink of your choice. She did say that they only had the veg option available, so I didn't really have much of a choice in this selection. Now, I know the pizza looks a bit suspicious, and it comes in a weird cardboard box which you need to break open skillfully without burning yourself, and they don't give you any cutlery either, but it tasted fine. I mean, it was pizza, it was pretty good. We're landing very soon, so it's time to conclude the review, and please bear with me on this because I have many takeaways. So first, looking at the flight overall, it was comfortable. The meals were definitely a highlight for me and is probably the strong point of MH. Both the nasi lemak and the pizza were quite pleasant to consume. Secondly, just the general state of the aircraft. Now, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but this is where MH really needs to do a lot of work. I think these A330-300s have served their time, but it's time for a more modern fleet of aircraft to take over. As far as I know, Malaysia Airlines has A350s but only deploys them on a very few selected routes like Tokyo and London. But moving forward, you will be able to see the A350 in Melbourne, but that's only guaranteed up until early 2024. Now, moving on, the crew today, I'd say the majority of them have been lovely, keeping that Malaysian hospitality strong. I mean, there was one or two of them that weren't necessarily rude but a little bit unpredictable, but besides that, I don't have much to say on that front. One thing I absolutely love doing is chatting to the crew, and this flight I was able to do that with a lot of them. Finally, I will add that I was sad to see the aircraft in such a deplorable state because on my flight up to Kuala Lumpur, the crew cleaned everything constantly, so I'm not sure why it wasn't really done today. Overall, I'll be giving Malaysia Airlines 6 out of 10 with respect to its in-flight service, value for money, and ease of connection through its major hubs. For your information, a flight between Kuala Lumpur and Melbourne will be $513 economy class one way. Remember to share this video with your friends and family, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to support me. Also leave a comment down below to help the YouTube algorithm show my videos to other people. All travel is fully funded by myself and your support goes a long way. In future, if you don't want to miss out on my updates, hit the bell button icon to get notified whenever I deliver content. That's all from me. Have a pleasant day and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Preparation for landing, that you put your seat upright. Fasten your seat belts to your chair table and ensure all electronic devices are switched off. If an emergency evacuation becomes necessary, leave all your personal items behind and proceed to the exit nearest to you. Thank you.
A member of One World Alliance, and we hope you have enjoyed our Malaysian hospitality.